The serenity of Pahalgam, a picturesque town nestled in the Himalayas, was shattered on April 22, 2025. A horrifying terrorist attack targeted innocent civilians, mostly Hindu pilgrims. The tranquil air filled with the sounds of chaos and gunfire. 26 lives were brutally cut short. The nation mourned, united in grief and outrage. India's National Investigation Agency swiftly pointed fingers at the resistance front. This group, allegedly backed by Lashkar-e-Taiba, became the focal point of India's anger. Pakistan, long accused of harboring such groups, faced immediate scrutiny. Pakistan vehemently denied any involvement. They called for a neutral international inquiry into the attack. The United States and China echoed these calls for an impartial investigation. However, India rejected the idea outright. They cited their intelligence agency's findings, expressing confidence in their assessment. India's stance, while firm, raised eyebrows on the global stage. The world watched, holding its breath as tensions escalated between the two nuclear-armed neighbors. Less than 2 weeks after the Pahalgam attack, India launched Operation Sindoor. On May 6, 2025, Indian fighter jets roared across the line of control. Their targets alleged terrorist camps and safe houses in Pakistan-administered Kashmir and parts of Punjab. India claimed its actions were precise, targeting only terrorists and their infrastructure. However, reports of civilian casualties began to emerge from Pakistan. Pakistan, vowing retaliation, responded with cross-border fire. The skies over Kashmir lit up with anti-aircraft fire. Both sides claimed to have shot down each other's military aircraft. What started as a surgical strike rapidly escalated into a dangerous exchange of fire. The world watched with bated breath, fearing a full-blown war between the two nuclear-armed rivals. The calls for restraint were immediate, but the drums of war, once sounded, were difficult to silence. In India, Operation Sindoor was met with a wave of nationalism. The government's decisive action against what it deemed cross-border terrorism resonated with many. Public sentiment, fueled by grief and anger, largely supported the strikes. However, dissenting voices within India urged caution. They questioned the lack of an independent investigation into the Pahalgam attack. They argued that such a hasty response, without conclusive proof, could escalate the situation dangerously. The international community expressed deep concern over the escalating situation. The lack of an independent inquiry into the Pahalgam attack raised serious questions. Many countries and international organizations urged both India and Pakistan to exercise restraint. Calls for dialogue and de-escalation intensified. The specter of a wider conflict in South Asia, one with potentially catastrophic consequences, loomed large. The world waited anxiously, hoping for a diplomatic solution to the crisis. Operation Sindoor sent shockwaves throughout the region and beyond. The immediate impact was felt in the financial markets. South Asian stock exchanges tumbled as investors reacted nervously to the escalating tensions. Trade between India and Pakistan, already at a trickle, froze completely. Cross-border humanitarian projects, offering a glimmer of hope amidst the political animosity, ground to a halt. The human cost extended far beyond the casualties of the military strikes. Civil society exchanges, painstakingly built over the years to bridge the divide, crumbled. Educational collaborations and cultural exchanges were put on hold, severing the few remaining threads of people-to-people contact. The conflict once again sowed seeds of mistrust and suspicion, pushing the dream of a peaceful and integrated South Asia further into the distance. The scars of this conflict, both visible and invisible, would take years, if not generations, to heal. Section 5, The Shadow of Doubt, a question of evidence. At the heart of this conflict lies a fundamental question. Was Operation Sindoor a justified act of self-defense or a rushed, potentially reckless act of retaliation? India's refusal to allow an independent investigation into the Pahalgam attack casts a long shadow over its narrative. While India maintains that its intelligence was accurate and its actions justified, the lack of transparency fuels skepticism. The absence of an impartial inquiry allows doubts to linger, casting a pall over India's claims. Did India possess irrefutable evidence linking the Pahalgam attack to specific groups operating from Pakistani soil? Or did it succumb to the pressure of domestic outrage, choosing immediate retaliation over a measured, evidence-based approach? These questions continue to haunt the discourse surrounding the conflict. The world deserves answers, not just for the sake of justice, but also to prevent such escalations in the future. Section 6. The price of precedent. India's decision to launch Operation Sindoor without an independent investigation sets a dangerous precedent. It undermines the established international norms of due process and accountability. By choosing to act solely on its own intelligence assessments, India has, in the eyes of many, placed itself above international scrutiny. This unilateral approach, while potentially satisfying in the short term, could have long-term repercussions. If other nations were to follow suit, reacting militarily without allowing for independent verification of their claims, the world would be a far more dangerous place. The very foundation of international law, built on the principles of dialogue, negotiation, and peaceful resolution, would be severely undermined. The consequences of such a paradigm shift are too grave to ignore. The world must collectively condemn such actions and reaffirm its commitment to a rules-based international order. Section 7. A world on edge, the nuclear dimension. The conflict between India and Pakistan carries an added layer of complexity and danger: the presence of nuclear weapons. Both countries possess these weapons of mass destruction capable of unimaginable devastation. While both sides maintain a no-first-use policy, the very existence of these arsenals casts a long shadow over any conflict. The possibility, however remote, of a miscalculation or an escalation spiraling out of control is a chilling thought. The consequences of a nuclear exchange in South Asia would be catastrophic, not just for the region, but for the entire world. The global community must impress upon both India and Pakistan the absolute necessity of de-escalation. The pursuit of dialogue and diplomacy is not just a moral imperative, but an existential one. Section 8. The path not taken, diplomacy and dialogue. The road to peace, however arduous, must always be the preferred option. In the case of India and Pakistan, both nations, despite their bitter history and current tensions, share a common interest in peace and stability. They are bound by geography, history, and culture. Their destinies are intertwined. The international community has a crucial role to play in facilitating dialogue. Neutral third parties, such as the United Nations or influential nations, can act as mediators, helping to bridge the trust deficit and create an environment conducive to meaningful talks. The focus must shift from retribution and retaliation to reconciliation and resolution. Section 9. The unfinished chapter, towards a just and lasting peace. The story of Operation Sindoor is not just about military strikes and political posturing. It is a story of human tragedy, of lives lost and futures shattered. It is a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the urgent need for dialogue and understanding. As the dust settles on the battlefield, the real work begins. Healing the wounds of this conflict, both physical and psychological, will require time, empathy, and a shared commitment to peace. The international community must not waver in its commitment to finding a just and lasting solution to the Kashmir issue. The aspirations of the Kashmiri people cannot be ignored. Their voices must be heard and their rights must be respected. Only then can we hope for a future where the Himalayas echo not with the sounds of war, but with the laughter of children and the promise of a shared future. Please like and subscribe to the channel for more videos.